The Carabulgarian Canons of the House of Bat-Boyan, or Caleb Iliaper, the eldest son of Kubrat, born in 617. In 643, Bat-Boyan converted to Islam, made Hajj, and visited the Caliph Omar, whose name he took for himself. From that moment, the peoples began to call him Bat Umar, or Kamar Badr. Umar and Kamar are forms of the name Omar. After the Arabs attacked Bulgaria in 654, he renounced Islam. In the same year, he defeated the army of the Arab commander Abdurrahman at Sarkal, and received the nickname Caleb, victorious. In 682, he converted to Christianity. In 674, his uncle Shambaki took power from him for 3 years. Bat-Boyan died in 683 and was buried in Kiev. Later, his remains were laid to rest in the Kiev Pechora Lavra. Bat-Boyan entered the Kiev legends under the name Budimir and Ilya Muromets. Jurash Bat-Umar, son of Bat-Boyan, Sulabai, son of Jurash Bil, married to Chokchak, daughter of the Danubian Bulgarian royal son Avar, son of Sulabai and Kakshak, Tachujek, son of Avar. Of his descendants are known his son Tamian and Tamian's son, Ilias, who was Kagan Bek of Khazaria. Tachudiak, son of Avar. He was married to Kanbaik, the daughter of Uris Buga and Zura, Danubian Bulgarian princess. Kan Karajar, son of Tatyudiak and Kanbaik. He was married to Arya Uslan, daughter of Azan Tukta. Uris Uyghur Adar, son of Kan Karajar and Arya Uslan. Lakin, son of Uyghur Adar, king of Black Bulgaria, Carabulgar, ancestor of the dynasty of the rulers of Rus, entered into the Russian legends under the name Rurik, and his son Ugur, Lakin under the name Igor Rurikovich. Therefore, his branch of Bulgarian rulers received the name Dynasty of Rurikovich. Gabdullah Jilki, the son of Ugir Adar, king of Black and Volga Bulgaria, ancestor of the branch of the Volga Bulgarian kings, received the name Soklinsky. Almash Jafar, the eldest son of Gabdullah Jilki, king of Black and Volga Bulgaria, the Hungarian Bulgarian kings, Arbat, Arpid, Magyar, the eldest son of Almash Jafar. In alliance with the Khazars and his cousin Ugir Lakin, he feuded with his father, and in 895, together with his Bulgarian and Ugri subalterns, he left Angula, and Forovaria, and founded the Hungarian state there. The descendants of Arbat, Urapadovici, ruled Hungary until the 14th century. Turkey Ilman, or German, the eldest son of Arbat, Jacquin, Arbat's son, came to Bulgaria with Bakir, Ahmed ibn Fadlan. Kaldin, son of Arbat, came to AK Bulgar as Hungarian envoy. His son Tukchi served for some time on the Volga-Bulgarian Sea, 1-13. The story of Batyr Jilan, Peter Delian in the vault Jagfar Taraki, F. Naradanov reproduces the preserved part of his uncle Nigmachelin's conspectus, made on the basis of Gotsi Baba's information about Batyr Jilan, Peter Delian, king in Danubian Bulgaria. Such data are not available from other sources, and they illuminate in a curious light events that occurred after the death of King Samuel, of intrigues and betrayals. After 2 decades of Byzantine control, mass uprisings broke out in Danubian Bulgaria in order to restore the Danubian Bulgarian kingdom. The first uprising broke out in Belgrade in 1040. In the Gotsi Baba's conspectus of records, he was the grandson of the glorious King Samuel, and the son of King Baraj Gavriel Radomir, by his first wife, Hedvig, or Margarita, of King Stephen I of Hungary, Arpid, Istvan, reign 997-1038. The rebellion, supported by Jilan's uncle, King Peter or Cielo of Hungary, reigned 1038-1041, ended with the proclamation of Peter Delian as Bulgarian Kagan King. Peter Delian reigned for 2 years, 1040-1041, and successfully liberated much of the Bulgarian lands. But the uprising collapsed when the Kagan was treacherously blinded by his third cousin with royal blood, Yalushian, who sought to seize the Bulgarian throne. Ghazi Baba wrote about Bagar Jailan, the son of Baraj, Gavril Radomir 1014 to 1015, the grandson of Shamal Samuel 976-1014. In the Dajahan State Archives, the following notice was kept. He got his name Jailan for this because he was born in the year of the serpent 981. His mother named him Batter, in memory of Asparu, who bore the nickname Majar or Batter. In a Hungarian monastery where he lived, he was constantly tormented by the desire to restore the state of his father and grandfather. In order to somehow quench this desire, Jailan Batter wrote the history of birds in Bulgaria. He wrote from memory, since the entire archive of the birds in Bulgarian, kings had been captured by the Cretans, Byzantines, Greeks, but this only intensified his desire, and it gradually completely subdued all his thoughts. As a result, he became so reckless that in his old age, he moved from his peaceful monastery to the homeland of his ancestors in Kabarda, Macedonia, Vardar, at the call of the Burgundian Bulgarians who rebelled there against the Cretans. Delighted by his appearance, the Burjans Bulgarians immediately elected him Kagan of Olag Bulgar, and the rejected chiefs, according to old Bulgarian custom, killed him, unable, because of his advanced age, to take part in the war against the Cretans. Jailan Batter read only prayers, and his commanders sustained victory after victory. The matter came to such a pass that, on the appearance of a small detachment of ill-armed Burjans, the Emperor of Rum himself fled a terrible distance with his vast army. In their abandoned caravan, the Capagan of the Jurashis discovered the belongings and books of the former Bulgarian kings, which he immediately took to the Kagan of Jailan Batter. In this moment of supreme glory, the Kagan of the Burjans sent to his Hungarian jur, Alat Bakhta, the king of Akibulgar, Volga, Bulgaria, Balak, rich gifts and requests for help. Along with him, the envoy of Urumbaba, the Pope of Rome, in Burjan, Istin, one of the descendants of Lakin, set out for Bulgaria. On the way to Akibulgar, one of Alat's companions was captured by the Balinese Russians, and the Bolognese Beksh Yaroslav learned of the embassy's purpose, needing a glorious and victorious war to make up for the unpleasant memories of Gilles Khan's unsuccessful campaign against the Bashtu. Ashraf Khan sent a detachment of Cumans, headed by Korbater, to help Gillen Bader. But when he approached Silla, Danube, Burjan, Bulgaria, had already been reconquered by the Cretans, and Bashtazbek then sent his army, but to the aid of the Cretans. However, this army did not help Urumqin, since they had no strength to defeat the Burjani Bulgarians in open and fair combat. The wicked Cretans resorted to their favorite method of fighting the enemy, and sent to the camp of Jailan Batter his native, Yelushian. The father of this Yelushian distinguished himself only by treacherously, with a blow from behind, killing Jailan Batter's father. Yelushian himself was an even more useless man than his father, and because of a passion for advantage, did not abhor entering a filthy Jewish sect under the Ariaks, Armenians. When this business was revealed, Urumqin wanted to kill the sectarian, but the news had just come that Jailan Batter had reigned in Burjan, and Urumqin decided, with the help of Yelushian, to destroy the Kagan of the Burjans. In the name of the emperor, the wicked man was offered the destruction of Jailan Batter and a rich reward for his life, and he unhesitatingly consented and gladly set out for Kabarda, Ohrid, Macedonia. There he lied to the Kagan of Burjan about the fact that a detachment of Kreshini and mercenary Bolognese had marched to Kabarda. This was part of the Bolognese army sent by the Beka of Bashtu of Urumqin, but which very soon fell out of subjection to the Kreshini and began to plunder and pillage the Burjani and Kreshini settlements. Urumqin therefore allowed Yelushian to destroy this rebellious detachment, in order that he might gain the confidence of the Kagan of Burjan and succeed in his villainous plan. The Capagan Jurash, sent by the Kagan to the place indicated by Yelushian, indeed found the Bolognese there. When the drunken Bolognese had waited to sleep, Jurash and his men captured them and brought them before the Kagan. In memory of the blinded by the cursed Burjans, Samuel's warriors note, the warriors of Samuel. At the feast on the occasion of the victory, The people of the executed chiefs and the Koyers, Bogomils, seeing the sectarian as their man, began to chant that Yalushian had brought them military happiness and demanded that he be made commander of the army. Uri, doubting Yalushian's sincerity and trying to reason with the crowd, was listened to by almost no one, and the Kapagin was forced to grant the wish of the mob. Yalushian then asked the Kagin where best to lead the army, and the Kagin directed him. Yalushian immediately led the bulk of the militia, armed with the best weapons, to the place the Kagin had indicated, Bagil, Thessalonica, and succeeded in communicating this to the Crescines. They suddenly attacked and killed almost all of the mob. With a handful of survivors, Yalushian returned to the capital and, after publicly blaming the Kagin for the defeat, demanded that a new Kagin be elected. Indeed, according to an old Bulgarian custom, the Kagin could be dethroned and even killed in the event of a major defeat in war. Jalan-Batar and Jurash made a number of arguments in their justification, but the mob would listen to them no longer and elected Yalushian as the new Kagin. Feeling more self-confident, Yalushian said to the people, "It is our custom to execute our former Kagin, who has ceased to see the future. But I do not wish that either I or my father should be accused of fratricide. I therefore propose that Jalan-Batar should only be blinded." The sons of the executed chiefs, Boyars, and the Kojars, headed by Yalushian, tied up Jurash and blinded Jalan-Batar. Then, on the very first night, Yalushian fled to Urumqin with the glad tidings, for which he was pardoned and richly rewarded. In the morning, the people came to know the truth, and suddenly coming to their senses from intoxication, they freed Jurash and started exhorting him to lead them. But the Kapagin and the blinded Kagin separated from them together with the most notable ones. On the way to the mountain refuge, the Kagin decided to send his son Mammal with part of the archives of the Burjani kings to Sula, Danube. The majority of the commoners, who also fled to Sula in dense crowds, diverted the attention of the Crescent guards. Owing to this, Mammal was able to meet Carabulgar and report to him the conquest of Burjan by the Cretans. Alarmed by the passage of many thousands of Burjans through Sula, the Magyars did not allow Mammal to raise a new army, but accepted his men. At the same time, mercenary Balinese, eager to avenge their blinded countrymen, headed for the mountain refuge on one side and the Cretans on the other. Kagin Jalan-Batar, learning of this, and also that the hope of help from Mammal had collapsed, ordered the Kagin Uri cabin to surrender the fortification to the Crescents in order to preserve the lives of some of the Boyars. Urumqin paid little heed to the commoners, and fearing only Jalan-Batar was overcome with indescribable joy at the news that the Kagin of Burjan had been captured. He even decided to meet the detachment leading the captives at a safe distance from Istanbul, Constantinople, to give the appearance of his personal participation in the victorious war. The people of Rum hailed him as a great commander-in-chief, which increased the emperor's joy. In this standing, he preserved the lives of the most notable prisoners and banished them to prison. But after the recent death of Jalan-Batar, broken down by the ingratitude of the mob and the loss of the last hope of liberation of his land, Urumqin let some of the Boyars go free. Mammal, married to the daughter of one of the descendants of the Kaganazan, remained in Majar and traveled several times to Carabulgar with Magyar and Altanbashiki, Roman, envoys. On one of these journeys, he converted to the straight faith and gave Kanakad a list of the kings of the Dolo family. Some of his descendants returned to the service of Urum Khan and to the delusion of tribalism out of a desire to live in the land of their ancestors. 1-14. Fragments on great rulers and enlightenments about his ancestors Tug Muhammad writes. 2. Kurbit in his youth was for some time a Bek of one of the Saklan tribes. 1. These Saklans loved him so much that they began to call themselves after him, Kurbit Croats. 3. As is known, the Barjal Persian King Kubrat lost his kingdom and regained it with the help of Chalap B. Afrasiab. Jurgen gave the name Kubrat to the little Kurbit so that the Bulgarian Beylik could be restored to him as the Barjal had been restored to Kubrat. 4. The descendants of Chalapi ruled Burda's Volga region. 5. Azak Banja, Methodius, and Kushtan Baksin, Constantine Kirill, were born in Tamayat Tarhan 7, where their father served, and they received their nicknames according to their birthplaces by K.M. Gotsi. 6. Katrag died in Balthavar, Bulgar, Bat-Boyan in Kiev, Kazel Kubar in Kazel, Orid, Lakin in Italy. Asparu, sensing death approaching, ordered him to be carried from Bilsaga, Pliska, to the main sanctuary of Torniuba, Tarnovo, where he asked forgiveness from the spirits of his ancestors for dying of old age rather than on the battlefield. Before his death, Asparu, as well as Kerbit and Katrag and Bat-Boyan, said the words, "There is no God but God," in Arabic and in Turkic, Tangra. Arslan Turtur told it after Ghazi Baba. 1-14-1. Fragments from the Gotsi Ali Baba on the alphabet of the Danubian Bulgarians 3 and the people of the Ulag Bulgarians of Danubian Bulgaria, as reported by the Carabulgarian, Greater Bulgarian, envoys Markar Karatin and Arslan Turtur, formerly used the Kelbian characters, which are sometimes called Turkic or Turanian. Turanian signs are also called Kishasht, Kushan, Central Asia signs, which were used for some time both in our country and in Bergen, although they were written the same, from right to left, as the Arabic signs. After that, when the Bergenate passed the language APE to the Christianized Saklani, Christian Slavs, they at the beginning wrote in Saklan the signs of the Kelbiri, or in Crescent Greek letters. Finally, by the will of the Most High, Kushan Baksin, renamed Kirsch on his deathbed, created for all the Brjani Bulgarians the new signs, so that there would be no difference in the writing. Arslan also brought the book of Bija Markar on the Bulgarian script, from which Syed Muhammad Ghali wrote some letters and words in Brjani. 1-15. Old Great Bulgaria, the dates, are conditional on the assumption that a normal Bulgarian generation equals 30 years. Emperor Shirak, 4510 Aslan, 5030-5000-4950 Barak, 4480 Agaj, 5000 Akajir Dynasty, Tarak, 4450-4953. Iraq, 4420 Bailish, 4970 Alak, 4390 Bog, 4940 Bulak, 4360 Ermin, 4910 Kalak, 4330 Kalga, 4880 Uchag, 4300 Bur, 4850 Ushak, 4270 Tau, 4820 Karak, 4240 Tiriak, 4790 Barak, 4210 Kwak, 4760 Abalak, 4180 Ulag Minak, 4152 Lak Janak, 4120 Balak Shunak, 4090 Salag Asbak, 4060 Jiliak Ardak, 4030 Bish Urak Balkan, or dash 4550 490 Arjak, 4000 Bishigat Bilyak, 4450 Kubar Burjak, 3970 4490 4480 Tak, 3610 Bak, 3580 Janik, 3550 Ajuk, 3520 Bajuk, 3490 Badger, 3460 Sanduk, 3430 Kuril, 3400 Baitao, 3370 Total, 3340 Ural or ZR, Ural, 3310 Askel, 3280 Bakel, 3250 Tukul, 3220 Igel, 3190 Bural, 3160-3135-3110 Chimer, 3130-3110-3040 First Chimer Dynasty Kuril, 3100 Merrill, 3070 Kaval, 3040 Kichi Ural Ziu Bish, 2980 Targon, 2950 Varan minus 2920 Shurkin, 2890 Tamir Bulgar, descendant of Ishtiak, Kav's Askel minus 2,740 Kar, or Heron equals Bulgan. Tamerlan minus 2,710 Saklan equals Boyan or Mayan KRZSH Barms, dash 2703, or Balanagil or Ugil minus 2,680, dash 2653 dash 2600 Ale, 2650 Dale, 2620 Nail Bale, Abil Emil Battle, Sandal Ramalatail, Janel Bil, Il, Baron Urin Baganach. 2140 Karen, 2110 Sabin, 2080 Sane minus 2050 Balin or Kai Bulgar, 2020 Mar, Agile, 1990 Buren, 1960 Mogayer, / minus 1930 Arja equals Anya Arjabe, 1900 War, 1870 Warchek Karta or Karth Karta, 1840 Ulu Karta minus 1810 1785 1760. Juman minus 1780 Kichi Karta minus 1780 Nukrat, 1750, 1699 to 1679. Turgeon, 1720 Mejan, 1690 Kulian, 1660 Kudenball, Agaj, 1630 Aslay Lujan, 1600 War, Cam Rajal Sabish, UK Sheila or Beek as Kamom Hazar Baltayolt. AB Horus Babai, Chulad or Chulman, Kart Manas Kichimanas, 1613 Suzatryak, 2nd Khmer Dynasty, Asparic Turton Dalai, Turgai, 1579, 1547 1542 Sam, Dalai, 1540 Tamir, Jadka equals Keldale, minus 1510 Nukrat Buren Sajal. 1480 Majel minus 1450 Kar Kubrat. 1415-1360 Erdat 1330 Narat minus 1300 Erat minus 1270 Surat 1235 Burat minus 12. 05 Alat 1180 1145 Read 31145 1100 1150 Darish 1100 1081 minus 1120 Al 1095 Caleb Curzon 990 minus 1060 Kerbaturzen 960 Mish equals King Kubar minus 1030 Sualton Kalak Galage Ku Kulian 808 775 Alabuga 858 Tumas 830 Samar 800 Nautarjai Atayak Gurgle and Chimer Bunjar 1050 Yolikotrag minus 1020 3rd Chimer Dynasty Bulgar minus 1000 Berjantai 683 653 Askip Dynasty minus 680 Maji 653 623 minus 655 Balin 602 600 Jirazaryan 623 622 minus 625 Kuban Tulish 570 558 Kubialman Tar Kuban Tulishki Bash Jantai Tatrasaras 30 429 Ate Auden 375 339 Bikin Balamir 339 310 Tarjais 310 304 minus 302 to 280 Arbat 280 250 Barak 970 Batrak 940 Tarak 910 Bulga 880 minus 850 Tulak Luja equals Alabuga minus 820 Shambaka minus 790 Ilbak but Ermak Bajal Surmak Turljat Majeldale Lekton Kai Sanjagak Idan 640 but 610 Bijan 580 Kartimjan Abar, Cam Rajal, Skip Rajal or Agile Dynasty, Sarbine, 830 Wimson, 790 Unbilbai, 760 Rujaban Beds minus 730 Banjar, minus 700 Ruja, Asparic or Sambarmk minus 670 minus 650 Edan or Edan Lek, 622 602, minus 620 Kungur. 600 602 Psalm Sabin 590 Ainrat Gajiad 565 Koskubin 505 501 minus 550 Edinburgh 527 505 minus 540 Arjaby 501 minus 480 minus 526 Bear Arboga 480 457 minus 510 Tara Iskul 455-447, minus 490 Uktimus-447-432, Orjak-457-455, DDBZR Kotrak-432-430, minus 460 Chakmar-430-412, Tuba Udig minus 430 Sagdak-412-402, Birali Kulian minus 390 Nukrat Shur Bulyak Zardak Uyghur, 360 minus 320 Kartiliak Baybak, minus 330 minus 290 Kart Urak, Jumran minus 300 minus 260 Tarak, Chukrak minus 270 minus 230 Askal Tunamas Kichi or Karakanjal minus 200 Boljak, Marijunt /-188-180 / -170 Jirak Urji. Gon /-180-177 Kichi or Karakanjal. Sarmadin or Urusman Dynasty -188-177. Urusman or Uruskanjal -176-140. -180 Byalan -140-107. -150 Balak -124 Sarakin -107-65. -90 Kotrag Bershut -65-21. -60 Uli Bargil -21-5. -30 Suvar Spaniar -5. 23 Komik 23-40. Alan Baron Warzai Farzoi 46-106. Andrew Bulgar Khan Dynasty Bulgars Kaval 106-124. Ayur 110 Agarja Zerkapa 150-189 equals Boyar KYZ Bar 124-145. Marjangi 140 Tucci Barnes 189-200 Tangar Tash 145-150 Idar. Buri Barak 210-235. Jijan Banyuzian or Banashniak Beranjar 235-271. Jilki Kermes 271-293. Cossack or Kadak 260 Jalmakazan Thishabaraj 293-301. Ashkazar 301-305. Beljilki Kundaraltj Ravshamati 305-322. Sansan after Old Bulgaria centered in Sanjak, pre-Caucasus, collapsed. King Aslan's sons immediately founded their own new empires. Shambak, Samar and Sowar, Mesopotamia, or Sumer, Agaj. Eski Pagajir or Great Bulgaria centered in Eastern Europe. Virgin, Karajuharezm, in Central Asia, Balistan, Palestine, or Jur Bulgar Syria. The descendants of Virgin founded two more Bulgarian empires. Kashin centered on the Siberia Basin, and Khan or Burjat Bariatia in Baisu Eastern Siberia. These states have been allies or rivals over the centuries and millennia. Thus, around 4500 BC, the Hun Emperor Kangsu, with the help of the Bulgar Kashin Emperor Jur, defeated the Zaurians Pramankurians, who were oppressing the Tuzgars Koreans, and annexed the territories of Altan Baraj, present-day Mongolia, and northern China, to the Han Bulgarian state. He also ordered the consolidated state of Kongshu to be called Ikhemin and resettled Anshians, people from South China, on the conquered lands. The Bulgarian Huns resettled on the same territories, gradually merged with the Anshians into a new nation Hin, the ancestors of today's Chins. Many peoples in Asia called the Bulgarians Hints. Around 4000 BC, the descendant of Kangsu Urmi Uriai has attacked Kashin with his Huns. But the emperor of the Kashin Bulgars, Errol, defeated the Honi Bulgars and helped Algian Baraj to secede from the Khan state. And soon after, with the help of the freed Hin, subdued Khan Burjat. This satisfied with this, half-left Khan Burjat and Algian Baraj for the West and Central Asia, southern Balgartau Ural, the Baltics Yermaka, the Balkans Illyric, Syria, India, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. In Egypt, the chief of the Hanburgers even seized power and ruled under the name of Pharaoh on Hun 3834-3804 BC. In India, the Hanburgers formed in the Indus River Basin Hind, together with the local Kush tribe, the great state of Honbugur, Hindu Kush, with a centering city of Makhat or Bakat, Mohenjo-Dar. A large number of the Bulgarians Honugurs or Udagurs, driven out by terrible earthquakes, left Bakat and migrated to the Caucasus, Asia Minor, the Near East, the Balkans, and Western Europe, where they joined the old Bulgarian population. In the Middle East, the Bulgarians were called Asur, Bulgarian man, or Ket, man, and from these words the names Assyria, Assyrians, Hittites, Gath. The Bulgarian settlers carried with them to the new places the Trek Bulgarian terminology pyramid, Sabbat, Day of Family Love, Saturday, the tradition and ability to erect kurgans, pyramids, town building, metallurgy, horse breeding, sheep breeding, their mythology. The myth of the first Bulgarian Gazan, raised by a she-wolf, has been introduced into the culture of a number of countries around the world. In Egyptian mythology, from the name Gazan, or Asur, comes Osiris, and from the name of Umayisha, mother goddess, Isis. The Bulgarians, the Agajaskali Chaldeans, made up no more than a quarter of the population of present-day Ukraine, and the other 3/4 were Bashars migrant from the Balkans, and Turbashks or Tertsipralans. The Bashadars spoke Old Agil Proto-Slavic dialects considered a Western Bulgarian language. Those of the Bashadars and Turks who preserved the basic Bulgarian customs, the Askals, priests, separated with themselves into the group of Ik Chaldeans, white Scythians, and those who did not respect Bulgarian customs, into the group of Caracalgians, black Scythians. The chief priestly center of Great Bulgaria was established as Great Bulgar on the Volga, and the Scythians spoke of their roots as coming from Ulug Bulgar, Great Bulgar, which they also called simply Haldza, Scythia. In 3133 BC in Samar, Sumer, occurred the world flood. After it, the surviving Bulgars, led by Shambat's descendant, BB/Gon, Tarjai's Ukarjak, Aturjak Kimser, migrated north into Asia Minor, and in 3130 BC conquered all of Kapdag, Asia Minor, headed by the ancient Bulgarian city of Aturjak Bulgar, Troy. He declared his new empire, islet, state, nation, homeland, and decided to unite under his rule all the Bulgarian burums, pyramids, from Idel to Kimit or Egkit, Egypt. By 3120 BC, Nautarjai's Ukriyak, Atriak, Chimera subdued Egypt, Syria, the Balkans, Great Bulgaria. The emperors of Greater Bulgaria, Agaja Birul, 3135 to 3110 BC, submitted without resistance to his distant relative Ziaji Nautarjais. Nautarjais then agreed with the Bulgarian Huns of Transbaikalia to attack Agaja. The Huns had long harbored hatred against the Agagirs, who had driven their ancestors from Sanjak, so they agreed. There followed a simultaneous attack from the south and east, in which the Agaja immediately capitulated. Simer ordered Burul to allot the victors' land in Agagir, in which they wished to settle, and change the name of Great Bulgaria to Simmer. A part of the Balkan Bulgarians was displaced from the Danube to the Dnieper, a part of the Huns in South Idel, along the Shire Don, the Dnieper, the Danube, and in Zermek, Germany, when Burul's son, Ariel, came to power 3110 to 3040 BC. He also assumed the name Simer. The authority of the Agagir dynasty was restricted and renamed the Kimber dynasty. Now Tarjais married his daughter to a Chimer, and so the Agagir and Islet dynasties were blood-related into the Chimer dynasty. At the beginning of the 2nd millennium BC, Berenjar's descendant Avar or Abrash invaded Islet with his Bulgar Vaginax, Bagrajans or Bulgar Avars, destroyed the empire and its capital, Atrayak. He, his people, and his descendants became famous for their conquest of the Middle East and Egypt and their rule throughout the Eastern Mediterranean for nearly 1,000 years. On his mother's side, Avar was a descendant of the famous Cam, priest of Old Bergen, Zardastar or Zardushtar, stargazer, who had built the first Bulgarian astronomical observatory around the Uralic settlement of Arcade. Zardushtar entered the Persian chronicles as the magician Zarathustra, who was the first to write down the Bulgarian prayers, hymns, Yeleni, signs of the Kalbiri or the Cardinal. the highest priests, and from cardinal comes the word cardinal. And from the ancient Greek pottery and historical descriptions of Herodotus, it is undeniable that the Greeks are direct descendants of the Trek Bulgarians. Turco-Bulgarians, the shaving of heads, the braiding of the back hair, chumba, the sport of wrestling, the riding of horses, the inclination to science and wisdom, the priestly canons. In 980 BC, power in Old Great Bulgaria passed to the Second Sumerian dynasty. In the period 680 to 188 BC, in Old Great Bulgaria ruled simultaneously emperors of three escaped Scythian Bulgarian dynasties: the Burdas, the Rajul, Agil, and the Sanjigak. In 512 BC, the emperors of Great Bulgaria and Danube repelled the attack of the Old Alamir Sultan, Persian king Darius the Great, who reached Alabuga. The reason was that the two states could not agree to whom Albania, Azerbaijan, should belong. In 339 BC, the Macedonian king Belabii, or Baldi, Philip II, tried to seize Mysia, part of Greater Bulgaria, but was completely defeated by the Bulgarian emperor Aetius. Soon after the battle, Aetius, who was 90 years old, died of exhaustion. In 336 BC, the army of the new Alamir Sultan, Iskandar Zulkarnain, Alexander the Great, again entered Great Bulgaria, but was again completely defeated. In 250 BC, the Bulgarian Saragurians and Bulgarian Celts, with blows from the east and west, overthrew the power of the Macedonian Seleucids in Persia and formed on its territory the Bulgarian state of Kieselbergen or Bardim, Parthia, where the whole Bulgarian society progressed rapidly, having recognized the seniority of Old Great Bulgaria. Even before the Parthian era, the Bulgarians had made significant cultural achievements. Emperor Berdas Barnaintai, Berindii, Borchek, 660 to 633 BC, at once introduced two official languages, Sinj and Trek Bulgarian, and two secular scripts, Rajul or Agil, Greek, and Jur, Aryan. Emperor Aetius, 375 to 339 BC, on May 5, 360 BC, began to mint 163 Bulgarian coins and allowed a skeep to be openly called Old Great Bulgaria and the people Bulgarians. Until this time, the priests, Kamov and Kalbiri, opposed the open naming of Bulgaria and Bulgarians. In the era of the Parthian state arose the Bulgarian trades of clerks, merchants, professional warriors, builders, musicians, artists, painters, Bulgarian literature, architecture, Bulgarian professional music, theater, painting, and sculpture, the Bulgarian banking system. In 226, the Bulgarian dynasty of Assassinates, a branch of the Parthian dynasty of the Arshakids, declared itself Persian and expelled the Arshakids from Persia. Along with the Arshakids, millions of Bulgarians then immigrated from Persia, who established in Old Great Bulgaria the above-mentioned estates and a number of Parthian laws. For example, the Parthian law that credit could be taken against anything of interest was in force in Volga, Bulgaria until 1740. The foundations of the ancient Bulgarian epic Chulman Tolgau were laid in Parthia. From 188 BC to 150 AD, Great Bulgaria was ruled by the Sarmatian, or Urusman, Razumanov dynasty. It relied mainly on the Eastern Bulgarian Sarmatians. Under the Urusmans, the Bulgarian Empire was divided into kingdoms and beyliks, principalities, dependent on the Bulgarian emperor. King of the district of Jerimel or Askil, between the Dnieper and the Don, was the famous Bulgarian poet Kuban Boyan, 177 to 152 BC. In 154 BC, he declared the city of Bulgar-Baldabar, Poltava, his capital, and it was then that he first sang his epic poem Chulman Tolgau, Epic of Chulman. The basis of the epic was made up of ancient Bulgarian poems, Eri, which were united by Kuban into a whole. Two copies of the epic have come down to our time, the Kimerievsky and the Karakievsky, the former of greater length. The Chulman Tolgau is the true verse-song chronicle of the Bulgarians of ancient times, and ranks in value after Homer's Iliad and Herodotus histories. The Bulgarian emperors did not have unlimited power over their subordinate subacts, kings and bogs, princes. Both made a living from their agricultural fields, where they grazed their own herds of animals. Only under the emperors were these yurtals, yurtluks, domains, larger. On account of the income from their yurtluks, the Khanbalthavars, or Khanbigas, emperors, the Sabagas and the Bagas supported their jurs, retainers, with feasts, gifts. It was only in Parthia that the governors of the districts began to give their drugeniks income from tracts of land, Luisiae, feud, at first during their service, later with the option of inheritance. This custom was not quickly introduced in Great Bulgaria, but only in the Second Khan dynasty of the 4th to 5th centuries, when feudalism began. In the Parthian period, the Halja, Volga, Bulgaria, through which the roads between Bardheim and Great Bulgaria passed, made great progress, and then the respectful name Idel Bulgar was fixed upon it. Claudius Ptolemy, 90 to 160, in his geography, described in detail the lands of Volga, Bulgaria. Without having a significant superiority over the forces of the individual Subids and Bagus, the Bulgarian emperors strengthened their friendship with the most influential of them and stirred up enmities between some Subids and Bagus. The Bulgarian emperors ruled like in a chess game, and all the rulers were fascinated by chess, which is described in the story The Art of Government by Vasil Kush. Let's dwell on the most significant decisions of ruling as in a chess game. Under the emperor of Great Bulgaria Byalan, 140 to 107 BC, the kings of Jerimel, the descendants of Kuban Boyan, Kelbir and his son Boljak, became very powerful. They annexed Jalda, Crimea, to Jerimel and built several strong fortresses there, including the new capital Naples. In response, Byalan allied himself with the Kuban's rivals, the rulers of the Lower Shire Don, the Shiraks or Jiriks, and made Kartija, son of Jirik, his chief advisor. Kartija introduced Byalan to the expansion of the Kubans, and especially to the strong friendship between Boljak Kuban and the emperor's brother Tashbash, viceroy of Burtis. Shortly before, Boljak had married Tashbash's youngest daughter. Kartija startled the emperor by commenting that Boljak had become the most powerful subag in Great Bulgaria and could help Tashbash in any way to seize the imperial throne. Byalan asked how he should prevent it, and Kartija gave him a full account of how to approach. Get the two of them into a war with Margit, Mithridates 6 Eupator, 121 to 64 BC, king of Tarbal, Ponta. Promise him that if he conquers Bajpayar, the Bosporan kingdom, from us, you will not go to war with him over it. Margit will immediately take possession of Agarjak, Panikape, and Boljak, the ruler of Jalda, will have to go to war with him. Bolyak's father, the wise Kalbur, will not engage in such a war, but the young and ambitious Bolyak will throw himself into it. Then he'll be sure to ask his father-in-law for help, and Tashbash, who has never fought, will willingly enter this war with his numerous but ill-armed infantry of Arjamashis, Morurges, to show off. The Alanian cavalry of Tashbash, being the weakest and most cowardly of the Alanian Bulgarians, they will not stand a clash with the well-armed and brave Tarvilians, descendants of the Sumerian Bulgarians. And Boljak will be able to send a small detachment, because his envious brothers do not support him. Margit will defeat your two rivals, and the danger to your power will be removed, replied Kartija. The emperor, struck by the treachery of his advisor, exclaimed that the state would lose Bajpayar. But Kartija philosophically concluded that for the preservation of the chief throne, sometimes something secondary must be sacrificed, to which Byalan agreed. Having secretly received promises from Byalan that he would not help the Bajpayars and the Jalda Bulgars, Margit immediately sent his Tarval army on ships to Jalda. The Tarvilians defeated Boljak and Tashbash and captured Bajpayar. On the advice of Karturha, Byalan accused Boljak of failing to defend the Chaldean possessions of Great Bulgaria, took Jalda from the Kubans, and placed them under the rule of the Jarakis. But now the Jarakis began to grow stronger, who completely placed Emperor Kumuk, 23 to 46. Under their influence, the descendant of Carabulgaria gave his sister as wife to Kumuk and in fact began to rule Great Bulgaria. When the descendant of Tashbashjian, Evnin in the Roman sources, a subag of Idel and a best friend of Kumuk, became suspicious of Daruja for his frequent encounters with Kumuk, he moved him as a pawn from Ulubulgar or Abrashir, hours in the Roman sources, to the poor district of Sanjigak. But the never-flinching Jean brought with him a lot of Abrashir Bulgars, developed him. In his time, the Sanjigak district came to be called the Ban-Bulgar district, Bulgaria. Very soon, Jin married the daughter of the most powerful Kapkai, Subag, Karth Oygir, and the secret alliance with him strengthened him quite a lot. Daruja scornfully called the people of Khazar, present-day Dagestan, Chechnya, and Ingushetia, poor, but under Kartoygir Khazar became populous, prosperous, and very powerful. Kumuk, who kept in touch with his friend through Kartoygir, told him that if he helped him to free himself from the tutelage of the Jirakis, he would make him Kapagan, prime minister. So Gin, who dreamed of avenging the Jirakis for the disgrace of Tashbash, began to act at once. He came to know that Daruja and his son Sorokin, the immediate ruler of the Jiraki district, were in league with Kichimarjada, Mithridat Bosporus, and want to take away Bajpayar along with him from the Urumaks. In response to this, Gian secretly agreed with the Uramites that in case of a Jiraki war against them, he would help the Uramites. When the Jiraks started a war against Rome, and sent their best forces led by Daruja's brother Sorokin against Banya Bulgar, the Kuban Strait and the city there, Gian was ordered by Daruja to help in everything and obey Sorokin. And it was this Sorokin with his men who drove Gian out of Ulug Bulgar to Sanjigak, at the same time taking away Gian's beloved wife. So Gian showed obedience, sent his brother Kardash ostensibly to do justice to Sorokin, and secretly ordered him to join the Uramites on their approach. Kardash did so, and thanks to him the Urumkins passed to the rear of Sorokin and slaughtered half his army. The other half of the Jirachi army settled in the town of Askol, Slavyansk on the Kuban, on the Carabulgarian Strait. Sorokin tried to escape from Askol, but was captured by Kardash. Feeling himself in danger, Daruja, with an army of Kawalek, Kvipes, Lower Volga, Alans went to the aid of Askol, but Gian and Kartoygir, with a Khazar army, blocked his way at the town of Khazar or Majar Budyanovsk. The Alans, loving Gian and hating the Jiraks, immediately captured Daruja and went over to Gian's side. Gian sent a letter to Kumuk, "Friend, you are free," went to Sanjigak, and there soon arrived Kumuk's courier with a charter appointing him trapper of Great Bulgaria. Urum conquered and defeated Askol, and Kumuk deprived the Jiras of their lands and riches. The Jiraks were displaced to the Carabulgarian, Chernigov, region and gave rise to the Carabulgarians and the Bagarbulgarians, Viatikai. So Gian, without losing a single man, played the Jiraks again with the help of the Tashbashi. The War of Buljak was in BC, and the war with the Jiraki in 49. In the same year 49, Gian concluded a treaty with Rome for the joint administration of the Bosporan kingdom, and Great Bulgaria again began to receive the Bosporan tribute. It is assumed that it was during the time of Gian that old Great Bulgaria reached its greatest power. When the Romans attempted to conquer Dagagajir, Dacia, it was Gian who first forced the Ulag, Dacian, Bulgarians to recognize the authority of Great Bulgaria, and then seized the Bosporan kingdom without a fight, and in 54 besieged the city of Chersonesus in the Crimea. Rome, realizing that it had lost the war, withdrew its army from Dagagajir and handed over to Gian all the captured Bulgarians. In response, Gian also shows courtesy, lifts the siege of Chersonesus, and makes perpetual peace with Rome. At the conclusion of the peace, Kardash and the Roman ambassador Darlash, Tiberius Plautius Silvanus, became twins, and Kardash gave his son the name of Darlash. After the death of Gian in 80, the Kapagans became Kardash, 80 to 84, and Darlash, 84 to 107. They supported the might of Great Bulgaria in every way. But no sooner had Daralash died than the Emperor Kavail, 106 to 124, with the help of the Bagrajiki Bii, deprived the family of the Tatsis. Taz is the nickname of Tashbash, of Kapagan power, and settled them in Sanjagak. Under the rule of the short-sighted Bagrajiki Bai, Great Bulgaria began to weaken rapidly and lose its territories. Thus the Roman Emperor Trajan took Dacia from Great Bulgaria. The Dacia Bulgarians, led by their subagent Deceivable, 84 to 106, heroically resisted the Romans for a long time at the fortifications erected by the Taziites. But due to the refusal of the Bagradziki to fight for Dacia, they suffered a heavy defeat. Meanwhile, the Scandinavians summoned by the Taziites to Bulgarian service, under the name of Houds, Bulgarian soldier, Goths, passed through the Sarbian, Proto-Slavic tribes on their way to Great Bulgaria. The Cuts subdued half of the Sarbians and led them with them. After realizing that the Taziites had lost their influence over the Bulgarian throne and that Emperor Kaval no longer needed them, in their exasperation, the Houthis seized part of Onkol, right bank Ukraine, and settled there. Kubar, 124 to 145, the son of Kal and Kal's grandson, Ertash Artan, pursued such a disastrous policy, Kal attempting by force to expel the Houthis from Onkol and warring with those honest Bulgarian subags and bogs who were trying to put an end to the Bagraj power. And Ertash even recruited a huge army of the Bulgarian Serguri, White Huns, of Agarja to suppress the disaffected and to wage war against the Houthis. But Ertash's wise sister Boyar Quiz, who had married Agarja Zerkab at her brother's behest, offered her husband the opportunity to seize power and end the internecine strife and the disastrous war.